Welcome to the Sunday morning worship service of DuPage Unitarian Universalist Church in Naperville, Illinois for April 3rd, 2022. I'm Reverend Connie Grant, interim minister of this congregation. We are so glad you are here, whether you're present in the sanctuary this morning or watching remotely. It is so good to be together. Steve Cooper is under the weather this morning and so won't be physically present today. He wanted me to let you know that the Coming of Age Mentor and Youth Gathering will still take place in the Learning Center at 11:45, and Steve will join the group via Zoom. To keep us all as safe as possible, we'll remain masked, except that those of us on the chancel will remove our masks to speak from the microphone. New protocol today is that you may sing along with our choristers while remaining masked in the sanctuary. As Unitarian Universalists, we hold that there are many paths to truth and meaning, and we support one another on our spiritual and religious journeys. Whether you are a member or friend of this congregation or have recently discovered us, we are glad that you are with us this morning. Whoever you are and wherever you are welcome here. And now, your ministerial search committee has a very special announcement for you.
Thank you, Connie, and good morning, everyone. I would like to introduce the members of the search committee: Bob Harris, Dave Gorman, Jane Gano, Kat Gelder, Sarah Lensink, and Doug Coker-Cowan, who is on vacation and couldn't be with us today. We are so pleased to announce that we have a candidate to be our settled minister. In the fall of 2020, you, our congregation, asked us to find a minister with skills in Sunday services, pastoral care, community building, administration, policy-based governance, collaborative leadership, and clear and open communication. Quite a list, right? We did not find a good fit candidate last year, but this year we not only met but surpassed our expectations for a minister who has these skills. The search committee unanimously agreed to make an offer, and our offer was accepted. Our candidate for settled minister at DuPage UU Church is Mandy Huizinga. Mandy is currently serving as the ministerial intern at Unity Temple in Oak Park. She has nearly 10 years of experience working in UU groups and congregations and is well respected by her colleagues, co-workers, and congregants. Mandy has a warm, friendly personality, and she is a compassionate, collaborative, and joyful leader. She plans high-quality Sunday services that speak to the head as well as the heart, that both challenge and comfort, and that address the diverse beliefs and philosophies of UU congregants. She is passionate about social justice, and she will walk beside us as we work to transform the world toward fairness, love, and compassion. She is both knowledgeable about the details of church administration and excited about the big picture, that Unitarian Universalism can indeed make our world a better place. When a search committee brings a candidate to a congregation, it is a strong and well-researched recommendation to the congregation. But in the end, it is the congregation's responsibility to decide if this person is a good match for our church and to vote accordingly. We are excited to have you meet Mandy, and we encourage you to take advantage of opportunities to get to know her during candidating week, which will be Sunday, April 24th through Sunday, May 1st. We will send out a schedule for candidating week in a few days, as well as a link to Mandy's website, where you can learn more about her ministry, and her experience, as well as view her sermons and times for all ages. There will be a congregational vote on calling Mandy as our settled minister on Sunday, May 1st. The board will be in contact with all of us about how to participate in that vote. The search committee is deeply grateful to you, our congregation, for all your helpful input into the search process, for your 2 years of patience and insightful questions, and for your support, especially last year when we did not find a good fit candidate for our church. We are so honored that you entrusted us with this work, and we are delighted that this year we can introduce you to Mandy. At our request, Mandy has prepared this recording to introduce herself to you.
Hello, DuPage Unitarian Universalist Church. My name is Mandy Huizinga. I use she, her pronouns, and I am delighted and honored to accept your ministerial search committee's offer to candidate to be your next settled minister. Your ministerial search committee's commitment, intentionality, and kindness have been astounding through this process. From our very first conversation, your ministry and work at DuPage feels in such alignment with my own ministry, and I am so excited to get to know you all. There are many things about DuPage that excite me. Your robust religious education program, your passion for environmental justice that is evident in the construction of your buildings and grounds, your whole church ministry, your love for each other and your community, your intentional governance work, and even the stewardship of your land as can be seen in your prairie. I am so excited to candidate with you in just a few weeks. A little bit about me includes my extensive congregational life experience as the congregational administrator and membership professional of a mid-sized Unitarian Universalist congregation in New Jersey. During this experience, 2 of our leaders, our minister and our director of religious education, were in denominational leadership positions while the congregation was expanding its facilities and embarking on a capital campaign. More recently, I have been the ministerial intern at Unity Temple during this pandemic and through their ministerial transition. I believe that ministry is about partnering with a congregation, with you all, to live into our Unitarian Universalist principles and your congregation's mission so that we can thrive together. We can become more together. On a more personal note, I love spending time outdoors, especially in my garden, which is a spiritual practice for me. I love to grow vegetables and I love to find native plants, especially those with medicinal properties. I love to do handwork like embroidery and cross stitch. I am a voracious reader and have a large library. And I love to play video games. The Legend of Zelda: Breath of the Wild and Ori and the Blind Forest are 2 of my favorites. And I'd like to introduce you all to my family. We currently live in Oak Park, Illinois with our cat Callie and our cat dog Tuck. But this is our family.
My name is Dr. Elias Ortega. Some of you might know me as president of Meadville Lombard Theological School. In addition to being an academic and administrator, I also love to knit and also video gaming.
My name is Luna. I use she, they pronouns, and I like to take long walks, and I enjoy listening to music.
My name is Lucian. I use all pronouns, and I like to play video games, and I don't like to do schoolwork.
I look forward to spending more time with you all at the end of this month during candidating week. In the meantime, if you're interested in learning more about me and my ministry, please check out the website link, which the Ministerial Search Committee will be sending shortly. I am so excited to explore what shared ministry might look like together.
I think we can head.
I don't think anyone's going to listen to a word I say after that. I am not Steve Cooper. I am Karen Seymour Ells, filling in for Steve Cooper this morning. So please forgive me if I have a few bobbles here and there. Today and each Sunday, please join us for social time hosted by Reverend Connie by Zoom following the service from 11:30 to noon. Socialize with friends, old and new, and consider a discussion question related to the service as we break into small groups. All are invited to Science Sunday at noon today, in person in the sanctuary or on YouTube. A special invitation is extended to parents, caregivers, and youth religious education leaders to explore brain development of young children with Mike Winter and Carrie Friedman from the religious education team. You can find links for Social Time and Science Sunday on the church website under Here's What's Happening Now.
The fire of love burning deep in every human heart calls us to awaken. Awaken to the world of justice. Awaken to the world of compassion. Awaken to the world of community. For in this time of human suffering and exaltation, we are called beyond to awaken into action. May the chalice flame we now light guide our hearts in service to greater good that holds all living things in its holy embrace.
Opening words by Leslie Takahashi. All that we have ever loved and all that we have ever been stands with us on the brink of all that we aspire to create: a deeper peace, a larger love, a more embracing hope, a deeper joy in this life that we share.
It is time to gather. What is a Refugee by Elise Gravel. Before we get too far into this service, we want to make sure everyone understands what a refugee is. So I have a short book to help everyone understand. The book is titled, What is a Refugee? By Elise Gravel. A refugee is a person just like you and me. Refugees had to flee their country because they were in danger. Some of them had to flee because their country was at war. Some had to leave because powerful people didn't like what they thought or said and wanted to hurt them. Others had to leave because people didn't accept their religion or hated them because they were different. Most refugees would have preferred to stay in their country with their friends and family, but it was too dangerous. And also, their homes were destroyed, and they didn't have anything left. Refugees had to find another country to live in, and that's not easy. There are countries that don't want to welcome more refugees. While they were waiting for a new country to welcome them, many refugees had to stay in camps where life was hard. Refugees were lucky if they could find a country where they could live a normal life and do normal things like go to school and make friends, work, live in peace and safety, just like you and me. There are also people who decide to stay where they are because they are taking care of family who can't leave. One such family are the parents of church member Dima Rubin and his wife Sarah. Dima was born and raised in Ukraine, and his parents and grandfather live in the city Ukrainka in the Kyiv Oblast, or province, which surrounds but does not include Kyiv, which is a self-governing city. Dima's grandfather can't leave and needs care and help with meals, so his parents decided to stay to help care for him. There are many others in their building that have remained too. Recently, Sarah and Dima's children, Sasha, Max, and Katya, have been drawing pictures and writing messages that Sarah scans and emails to her in-laws. They share the pictures with others in the building to show encouragement and love and let them know they are thought of. If you would like to participate in sending pictures or messages to elderly people living in the building with Dima's parents, we have provided paper and coloring utensils for you to work on during the service. There is blank paper and coloring sheets. At the end of the service, you can leave them on your chair or hand them to the ushers. We'll then scan them so Sarah and Dima can email them off to Ukraine.
Now please rise and join in singing. That would be rise in body or in spirit. And join in singing with our choristers, and you may want to remain risen for our responsive reading and song of affirmation that follow.
What touches one of
and reading responsibly, we come to this time and place to renew our faith in the holiness, goodness, and beauty of life, to rekindle the flame of memory and hope, and our song of affirmation. And please be seated.
We Lived Happily During the War by Ilya Kaminsky. As war unfolds, many Americans have watched the events in horror. Donation links, firsthand accounts, and other information have been shared across social media. Among them is Ilya Kaminsky's poem, We Lived Happily During the War, a piece that indicts American passivity towards violence both at home and abroad. Kaminsky grew up in Odessa, a city in the southern part of Ukraine situated along the Black Sea, before his family came to the United States. As a child, he lost his hearing from a sickness. Ilya wrote a book of poems, Deaf Republic, that chronicles life in the war, highlighting both the moments of beauty and terror, and condemning silence in the face of injustice. In an interview with CNN, Ilya spoke about what life in Odessa, Ukraine was like, and what he remembers of his time there. I was 16 when I left Odessa, a deaf kid who heard the USSR fall apart with my eyes. Odessa architecture is scaled down, human-sized, and there was an opera house before there was potable water. Odessa loves art, and it loves to party. In the summer, huge cages of watermelons sit on every corner. You break them on the sidewalk and eat them with friends. The city has an especial affinity for literature. There are more monuments to writers than in any other city I've ever visited. When they ran out of writers, they began putting up monuments for fictional characters. The most important holiday in Odessa isn't Christmas. It is April 1st, April Fool's Day, which we call Humorina. Thousands of people come to the street and celebrate what they call the Day of Kind Humor. All of Ukraine has a sense of humor. Think of the man who offered to tow the Russian tank, which had run out of gas, back to Russia. Humor is part of our resilience. And this is his poem. We Lived Happily During the War by Ilya Kaminsky. And when they bombed other people's houses, we protested, but not enough. We opposed them, but not enough. I was in my bed. Around my bed, America was falling, invisible house by invisible house by invisible house. I took a chair outside and watched the sun. In the 6th month of a disastrous reign in the house of money, in the street of money, in the city of money, in the country of money, our great country of money, we, forgive us, lived happily during the war.
We hold each other in our hearts and minds with all our joys and all our sorrows. We remember those who are experiencing losses of various kinds and those facing health challenges. Even when the cares of the world weigh on us, may we find joy in our connections with each other and in the pleasures that life holds. Let us care for one another and for ourselves in all the ways we can. As we hold each other in our hearts and minds with all our joys and all our sorrows, whether spoken or unspoken, let's take a moment to be quiet together. A Peacemaking Prayer by Eric Cherry. The history is complex, the politics are intense, the fear and anger are overwhelming, and the future is unclear. But glimpses of a hopeful vision will not be bombed into oblivion by anyone. In prayer, we call to mind the peacemakers, neighbors of differing faiths, with different histories, with different politics, with different emotions, who find room for each other in their hearts, in their dreams, and in their lives. Those who hold firmly to a vision of peace and justice anywhere in the world, but especially today in Ukraine. Spirit of life and love be present with all who are suffering terribly from the violence in Ukraine. Lift up the hearts of those who fear, and inspire courage among the peacemakers. Be present with political leaders ensuring a retreat from violence and a procession toward the peace table. Guide the hands of all those who are caring for the injured, the hungry, and the grieving. And open our own hearts to compassion. Remind us of our complicity and responsibility, and lead us toward generous engagement and move us always toward a vision of peace. Amen. Now please remain seated and join in singing Dona Nobis Pacem, Give Us Peace.
The poet laureate, Simon Armitage, has written a poem about the invasion of Ukraine and the pain of displacement, and as a mark of solidarity with those under fire. Resistance was written over a few days against a backdrop of harrowing television footage of Ukrainians fleeing bombardment and shooting. Armitage, who was appointed poet laureate in 2019, said, "This is a public role, and there are times when I need to respond publicly. The first time that happened was at the beginning of the pandemic. That was one of the most important events in my life, and I felt a responsibility and duty to write something. Then this great big mess came along, and I feel the same way. My head is full of images and language and ideas, and it's almost a relief to set things down on paper. The poem was a refracted version of what is coming at us in obscene images through the news. Reports from Ukraine were both compelling and difficult to watch, he said. I definitely can't sit through both the 6 p.m. and 10 p.m. news bulletins. The poem repeats the words, "It's war again," several times in reference to successive conflicts in recent history. There's a weariness in the poem. "Here we go again," said Armitage. But the poem is also a form of resistance, I hope. There's not a lot I can do sitting here, but writing it down, taking ownership of the terrible images, feels a positive act. Here is the laureate's poem about the invasion of Ukraine, written in solidarity with those under fire. It's war again. A family carries its family out of a bombed house under burning thatch. The next scene smacks of archive newsreel, platforms and trains. Never again, never again. Toddlers passed over heads and shoulders, lifetimes stowed in luggage racks. It's war again. Unmistakable smoke on the near horizon, mistaken for a thick fog. Fingers crossed. An old blue tractor tows an armored tank into no man's land. It's the ceasefire hour. Godspeed the columns of winter coats and fur-lined hoods, the high wire walk over buckled bridges, managing cases and bags, balancing east and west. Godspeed. It's war again. The woman in black gives sunflower seeds to the soldier, insists his marrow will nourish the national flower. In dreams, let bullets be birds, let cluster bombs burst into flocks. False news is news, with the pity edited out. It's war again. An air raid siren can't fully mute the cathedral bells. Let's call that hope. So many stories and interesting pictures are shared online by people all over the world. One day, while the author of the next story was browsing Facebook, a single image caught her eye. It was a beautiful, tender image of a mother holding her baby. Behind her, the father was trudging along under a heavy load. The image displayed such strong emotion. But the amazing thing was the medium. The image was not painted, it was not drawn. It was composed entirely of stones. She searched for the artist and found it was Nazir Ali Badr, and he was Syrian, and much of his work was inspired by the Russian invasion of Syria in 2015. With Nazir's artwork, she created a story about refugees from this conflict and wanted a portion of the proceeds from the sale of this book to be donated to an organization devoted to helping refugees. The story is Stepping Stones, a refugee family's journey by Marguerite Ruers, artwork by Nazir Ali Badr. "Rama, wake up," the rooster crowed every morning when we lived at home. From my warm bed, I listened as Mama prepared breakfast: bread, yogurt, juicy red tomatoes from our garden. When I was little, not so long ago, my brother Sami, our friends and I played on sun-baked soil. We laughed, ran across rocks and sands, free as birds. When Papa came in from the fields, he would sit for a time under the orange tree and tell stories of our ancestors. In that not so distant memory, we were free. Free to play, free to go to school, free to buy fruit and vegetables at the market, free to laugh and chat, drink tea with neighbors, always 3 cups. But that was then, and this is now. Back then, Jetto, my grandfather, fished. Papa worked in the fields. Mama sewed silk scarves for me and my dolls. Wrapped in silks and hugs, I didn't know our lives would soon change forever. But Jetto said we weren't really free. If we're not allowed to sing our songs, to dance our dances, to pray the prayers of our choice, are we truly free? Then war came to our country. Life in our village changed. Nothing was as it had been. Soon there was not enough food. Rama, share this bowl of soup with Sammy. I didn't know then that Mama would go hungry. But we still had Mama's hugs and Jetto's arms to hold us. Then the birds stopped singing. People began to leave our village. First a trickle, then a stream across dusty fields under a burning sun, a stream driven by hope, mothers, fathers, children, seeking a better place, a better life. A river of strangers in search of a place to be free, to live and laugh, to love again. In search of a place where bombs did not fall, where people did not die on their way to market. A river of people in search of peace. At first, when our neighbors left, I didn't mind. I had Papa and Mama and Jetto and Sammy. I still had friends. We waved goodbye, not knowing they wouldn't come back. But when bombs fell too close to our home, Mama and Papa became frightened for us all. I hid my face in Mama's lap and cried, even though I am a big girl. One day, Jetto told Sammy and me that it was time to join the river of people, time to leave all that we knew. That night, I lay in bed and cried because I knew I would never again hear the crow of the rooster, the creak of the gate, the bleat of our goat. I lay awake and listened to the wind, wondering if the moon rises the same way in other places. Sammy and I said goodbye to the flowers in our yard, to our goat, to the soil we called home. Then we walked. We walked and walked and walked. I tried to match my step to Jetto's long strides. I tried to hold Mama's hand, but she carried blankets, a bundle of clothes. I carried only memories in my heart. We walked, sometimes alone, but mostly with many others. Everyone fleeing the war, running away from the bombs. Papa carried little Sammy and more on his back. When I grew so tired and cried, Papa told me that we were walking toward a bright new future. We walked to the end of the earth. And when we reached it, there was the sea. We set sail on waves of hope and prayer. I was frightened as the waves battered our little boat, and not everyone made it safely across. We said prayers for those whose journey ended at the sea. When we arrived on land once again, Papa and Mama planted seeds to grow flowers to remember those who did not reach freedom. And on we walked, tired. I was so tired. My feet felt like the rocks on which we walked. My legs were trees rooted to the soil. On we walked. But now we walked across lands free from war, free from guns and bombs, free from fear. Now, we walked in hope. At last, we came to our future. New neighbors welcomed us with open arms. I heard their voices but didn't understand their words. But when I saw their smiles, I knew what the words meant. Stay, they said. Stay here with us. You will be safe now. No more war. They shared what they had, clothes, food, even a new doll. We have a new home now, a home with new sounds and smells, with smiles and people who help. Will this always be home? Or will we go back one day? The lucky ones, they call us. New memories, new hopes, new dreams, not of war, but of peace. Please rise in body or in spirit and join in singing hymn number 168, One More Step.
This story is called Marwan's Journey by Patricia de Arias. I take giant steps even though I am small. 1, 2, 3, crossing the desert. I walk and my footsteps leave a trace of ancient stories, the songs of my homeland, and the smell of tea and bread, jasmine and earth. I walk, and I don't know when I will get there or where I am going. I carry a heavy bag. My mended clothing, a prayer book, a notebook, a pencil, a photograph of my mommy. Sometimes in the cold night, I cry out to her in my dreams. She comes with her black hair streaming and tucks me in with her flower-soft hands. She says, Marwan, keep going, walk and walk and walk, and I keep walking. I remember a house. Mommy lit the fire when the night fell, and Daddy told stories of our homeland. There was a garden, a cat, and a ray of sunlight that shone every morning on my pillow. One night, they came. The darkness grew colder, deeper, darker, and swallowed up everything. My house, my garden, my homeland. After that, we walked for 1 day, 2, 3, hundreds of people, thousands of feet, one in front of the other. 1, 2, 3, a line of humans like ants crossing the desert. Marwan, keep walking, don't look back, and I don't look back. One day I will return. I will not hesitate. I will plant a garden with my hands full of flowers and hope. I will let in the rays of sunlight that come through the windows and paint the walls with happiness. Every night I will pray that the night never, never, never goes so dark again.
Each month, we share our offerings with an organization nominated by the congregation and selected by the special offering team. I am so excited that this month, an organization that I nominated will be the recipient. We Grow Dreams Greenhouse and Garden Center in West Chicago, which provides opportunities for adults with disabilities and special needs to participate in meaningful work. Last week, Mason and I volunteered there for the first time. It is a truly wonderful organization. Next week, the executive director of We Grow Dreams will be here to tell you more about that organization. But if you have any questions after the service, please check in with me and I'd be happy to share with you. This morning's offering to support the work of We Grow Dreams and of DuPage Unitarian Universalist Church will now be received.
As Karen and I read the world's prayers for peace, please respond with the words, "May peace and justice prevail on earth."
From the Baha'i tradition, be a lamp unto those who walk in darkness and a home to the stranger. Be eyes to the blind and a guiding light under the feet of the erring. Be a breath of life to the body of humankind.
May peace and justice prevail on earth. From the Buddhist tradition, let us be at peace with our bodies and our minds. Let us be aware of the source of being common to us and to all living things. Let us cease to be the cause of suffering to each other. Let us practice the establishment of peace in our hearts and on earth.
May peace and justice prevail on earth. From the Christian tradition, blessed are the peacemakers, for they shall be known as the children of God. Love your enemies, do good to those who hate you, as you wish that others would do to you. do so to them. May peace and justice prevail on earth.
From the Hindu tradition, may there be peace on earth. May all things be a source of peace to us. May thy peace itself bestow peace to all, and may that peace come to me also.
May peace and justice prevail on earth. From the Jain tradition, I forgive all creatures, and let all creatures forgive me. Unto all I have amity, and unto none enmity. Do not injure any living being. This is the eternal, perennial, and unalterable way of spiritual life.
May peace and justice prevail on earth. From the Jewish tradition, may we walk the paths of the Most High, and we shall beat our swords into plowshares and our spears into pruning hooks. Nation shall not lift up sword against nation, neither shall they learn war anymore.
May peace and justice prevail on earth. From the Native American tradition, O great spirit of our ancestors, give us the wisdom to teach our children to love, to respect, and to be kind to each other so that they may grow with peace of mind. Let us learn to share all good things that you provide for us on the earth.
May peace and justice prevail on earth. From the Shinto tradition, all are our brothers and sisters, so why are there constant troubles in this world? May the wind soon puff away all the clouds which are hanging over the tops of mountains.
May peace and justice prevail on earth. From the Sikh tradition, know that we attain God when we love, and victory only endures in consequences of which no one is defeated.
May peace and justice prevail on earth. From the Zoroastrian tradition, we pray to eradicate all the misery of the world, that understanding triumph over ignorance, that generosity triumph over indifference, that trust triumph over contempt, and that truth triumph over falsehood.
May peace and justice prevail on earth. From the Unitarian Universalist tradition, let us labor in hope for the dawning of a new day, without hatred, violence, and injustice. Let us remember that whatever justice, whatever peace and wholeness might bloom in our world, we are the hearts and minds, the hands and feet, the embodiment of this vision.
May peace and justice prevail on earth. And will you rise again in body or in spirit and join in singing hymn 148, Let Freedom Span Both East and West.
And love both
Thank you. Let us remember that whatever justice, whatever peace and wholeness might bloom in our world, we are the hands and feet, the embodiment of this vision.
And may we live our lives fully and creatively so that we may be a blessing to ourselves, to each other, and to all those whose lives we touch.